Welcome back to Get the Check. I'm Maya.
I'm Annika.
I'm Priya.
And today we have Daksh on the episode with us today. He is the CEO of Greptile, which is an AI code review tool. They recently raised their Series A from Benchmark. So we're excited to get into your story and also what Greptile does. But yeah.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here.
And before we get into the story, we wanted to start by playing Two Truths and a Lie. So not to put you on the spot, but what are your two truths and a lie?
My first ever cell phone I inherited from my sister, who's much younger than me. I was in a Lufthansa commercial once, and I have been to Malaysia.
We were hoping to get a music story out of you from that one.
Oh, interesting. Well, the Lufthansa commercial I was in because I was in a traveling production of The Lion King.
What?
Whoa,
Yeah.
so that's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a drama
That is
background.
actually music related. No, I was just singing. So I was in the company,
Okay.
and so I was singing. And so I was reading to choir in high school, and then I was a decent amount in musical theater too. Mm-hmm. And so my high school's choir started doing this like Lion King production, and we did it on MTV. And then Lufthansa was like, "You guys should be in a commercial." And then we were like in a Lufthansa commercial.
Priya's also a theater kid by background.
Okay, I'm not a theater kid. I did like one musical in middle school.
Oh my
Is
God.
there like a
She's
theater
like,
to PM?
I don't know why she's so shy about
Dude,
it.
when
It was
the
like
Wicked-
a big part of her
I
life.
love Wicked. Wait, so what is your favorite musical?
Hamilton. I think
Hamilton?
I think it's
Okay.
very good. Yeah.
Have you seen it on Broadway?
Not on Broadway. I watched it in Atlanta.
Okay, nice.
Where they had a really good cast, which I was really excited about. I think that's almost why I stopped doing musical theater. I like watched the entire thing, and I was like, I'm not ever gonna make something like this in my life. So towards the end of high school, I was strongly considering not going to college and going and like doing music professionally instead, because I'd started writing songs, and then a couple of songs like blown up a little bit, and so it was on charts. It was not in the top 10. It was like 14th or something at peak. Turns out, no one actually listened to the songs after the top 10. So I got like 500,000 total streams.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
yeah, it was like
I
on
was like,
lists and-
that's great.
If we get those streams on the pod, we're throwing a party. Like,
I think like it's 2-hour podcast and way higher to get. Like so I was doing all this music stuff, and then I considered not going to college and doing this instead. And then I did end up going to college because I still just like really liked building things, and my goal for going to engineering school was I wanted to build things with my friends. During college, I started a band. We would play like garage band shows and like play like random like tiny venues and stuff. And once again, I considered like maybe this is what I would do with my life, like really early for a brief moment. But I think what I really wanted to do was like be really, really good at something. And it was kind of obvious that this was not going to be the thing I was going to be really good at.
Have you seen the like Timothy Chalamet speech? Did I
Yeah.
say his last name right?
Yeah.
I really like that speech. I
Yeah.
feel like that's what it reminds me of.
what is it?
He's basically just like, a lot of people don't say this, but like, I just want to be one of the greats. And I'm like equally inspired by like the best actors as like the best people in their field.
I've said something along those lines, and I listed like Dave Chappelle and John Mayer, who in my head are like the best anyone's ever been in anything.
Really?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Why
That's
John
awesome.
Mayer?
Oh,
I mean,
John
he's
is the
great.
greatest living guitarist, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like not even close.
What about Michael Jordan? Or,
I don't
LeBron?
like. Well, the other thing I say. So I make sports references as a person that like literally does not know anything about sports.
Yeah.
At all. Like, I've never, and I make them because like it's funny. Like everyone knows I don't know what I'm talking about. Like they'll just be like, "Oh, what is your hiring strategy?" I was like, "I'm trying to assemble like the '92 Bulls," and I was like, "I don't know what that means." Like I don't know. Like I've heard that that's like a good era for the Bulls or whatever. I don't know. But I regularly quote. There's this book called "The Score Takes Care of Itself." Have you heard of this?
No.
So Bill Walsh, who is the 49ers head coach in one of their like best eras, wrote this book called The Score Takes Care of Itself, which is like how do you build a winning culture in a team, and like became like a management book basically. The book is really interesting. I make references to it all the time. The thing I like about it most is he basically says you have to build a culture where everyone is like extremely mission aligned. And he takes the example of like the Apollo missions. So like in the 60s, if you went into a NASA office and you saw someone like mopping the floor, and you asked them like, what are you doing here? They'd say, I'm putting a man on the moon. And he says the same thing about just like at the 49er stadium, you walk in and you see someone who's like giving popcorn to the fans, and you ask them, what do you do here? And it's like, I win championships. Like everyone plays a small part in like the Niners winning the Super Bowl.
Right. That's awesome.
And so did you always know when you were at Georgia Tech that you wanted to start a company?
No. I specifically did not want to start a company. So a lot of my family are like small business owners, and it just looked very hard. So I had this like vague sense of going into college. Like I do what I'd like is like building things. I like building things with friends. And I don't grow up in Silicon Valley. I didn't know that this like whole thing exists here. And so in my head, I was like, well, that's not a real job. There's like no job that is like people building things with friends. The closest real job to it is I can become like a professional engineer. And So my goal was I want to go work at a big tech company, and this is also like this is like sort of a less than mimetic desire. Like Georgia Tech is a very good school. It has this extremely strong current towards going into big tech, and
I feel like that was the same at CMU.
I bet, yeah. I've heard the same thing about Cornell too. There's like there's some schools which just have that, and
Berkeley
Yeah,
did not
Berkeley was
have
not
that,
like that.
yeah.
I feel like everyone was like startups.
And
like,
I actually think it
small.
like changed me quite a bit because like it changes your mentality of how you think about things.
Yeah.
Because it's like I feel like at Berkeley when you're doing something that's like against the grain, like you're like doing something like random.
Yeah.
People are like super genuinely supportive of it.
yeah,
But,
Yeah, I feel like just being in Pittsburgh, like, I think you look at the Valley and you're like, oh, Stability looks like the biggest,
Yeah.
like, pre-IPO company.
yeah.
So I don't think it was necessarily like the Google and Meta, but it was like Robinhood, Palantir, or like Palantir.
there's
IPO'd
also
at
like
6 at
truth
a point,
to
but
that,
yeah.
right? Like it's
Yeah.
like if you go,
There
if you
is
went and
truth.
worked at Palantir like 3 years ago.
That would have been good for you.
Most pre-IPO companies in that area actually have not done well though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I feel like there's probably like truth to like for the average person like going and
Yeah.
working at like a stable company probably is like one of the
Yeah.
better.
Even just like the benefits you get from working in big tech.
I think so. So there's the stability seeking thing, but I think I don't know if you guys had this experience, but like people are our age, I think we're told that we're supposed to seek out work-life balance.
Yeah.
And that actually is good advice for like most people. Like most people should, like because most people like unfortunately probably aren't going to find a economically valuable activity that they're really passionate about. And then for some people, it's actually really terrible advice. Which is, I discovered I was one of those people. Because I was in college and I'm like, I'm going to go do these like big tech internships. I spent a summer at Amazon, and it was this weird thing. I just didn't like it, and I was like, you're supposed to like this though. Like this is the whole game. Like you get paid a lot, and like you don't have to work that much. It felt like something was wrong with me. This is around the time I met Suhoon, who is now my co-founder. He grew up in the Philippines, and he was like growing up like reading Paul Graham essays, and like he kind of told me, he's like, there's this whole world in Silicon Valley where people make things with their friends. You know, when you're like a child and like you're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you're like an inventor, and it's like not a real job, but it is a real job here. Like it is a real job, and there's like a specific type of financial instrument that's set up to fund invention. I came here like my senior year. I came here for like a few days, and I experienced it. And now it's like the meme of like the college undergrad who's like, I gotta go to SF, but I was like maybe I was the first one to do it. I don't know. And
you
I
heard
spent,
it here first.
Yeah, I was like the concept of the college undergrad, because like the AI stuff hadn't really taken off. Like ChatGPT wasn't out yet. So at the time, like Suhoon and I were hacking on like the DaVinci 2, DaVinci 3 APIs, which are like the precursor to the chat APIs. For instance, they were like literally text completion APIs. Like you couldn't ask them a question. Yeah. Or if you ask them a question, you had to do question mark space answer colon, and then it would answer the question.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was like the meta on how to get them to like answer questions.
What year was this? 2020?
This is 2022.
2022.
Oh.
Okay. 2021.
Yeah, it might have been 21 actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you were doing that, you saw that there was going to be like a big moment?
It was insane to me that everyone wasn't talking about it. Like
Yeah.
it was crazy to me. I was like, this like this thing can talk to you. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's making cohesive sentences. Is that like, why are we not talking about this?
The other thing I was going to say is like, I feel like everyone remembers the first time they used ChatGPT.
But like
It was
for
10
you,
minutes
was
after
it
it
like
came out.
meaningfully different?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember we were
It
in
was.
a coffee shop in
Yeah.
Seattle with, yeah.
So I just signed up for Twitter, and I was like, I gotta follow Sam Altman because he's one of the few people you follow. And then like he tweeted, like, hey, we just launched this research preview thing. It was like chat.openai.com.
Yeah.
And it was like 10 minutes ago. I clicked on it, and then it was like it didn't work because like I think it had a lot of traffic immediately.
Yeah.
And so then it tried a little bit, and it probably worked like 10 minutes later. And then I started talking to it, and I think the only thing I did for the next 3 days was basically just like try to do things.
Yeah.
And try to break it basically.
Yeah.
Like I was like, at some point that day I was like, it can generate code. And then I was like, well, I don't have to learn how to code anymore. And like the rest of like, which is obviously the wrong conclusion to make, but like for the rest of college, I think I just like stopped learning things.
Because you felt like there was this technology that would be able to do it for you?
No,
or-
I was just lazy. I wasn't like, I wasn't like,
I thought it was gonna be like this big moment.
Yeah.
And he just goes, I'm like,
no, I mean, like, no, it's like, it wasn't like some intellectual exercise. It's like how I think knowledge work is going to get devalued. It was more like, I have this homework, I don't want to do it. And then there's like this machine that can do it for me. So I'm just going to use
Pass
the
it
machine
off,
to do
yeah.
it.
College
Yeah.
kids are like super dependent on ChatGPT.
They are.
Like my little sister was telling me like it went down during like final season. She goes to Emory actually, so like a lot of her friends are at Georgia Tech too. And like it went down during final season, and she was like, everyone at the library just stopped working. Like they
insane.
stopped
They don't know
studying
how to,
for
like-
hours.
Really worrying.
Well, I kind of get it because it's like I feel like I couldn't do my job without ChatGPT now.
So I was talking to the CRO of Stripe recently, and she's also on the board of Dartmouth. She was saying that feels like she's raising this alarm at every board meeting at Dartmouth, being like, we need to change how we do like computer science and engineering here, because like it's like the way this thing is designed, people aren't learning anything because they will take the shortest path. And so she was like, hey, you should come and like talk to the faculty and like just, because I think they're like, we're not in Silicon Valley, like really removed from what's happening.
Yeah.
Like the point is like, I'm not going to tell them how to teach computer science. I have no idea how to do that. But like, I can be like, this is what's happening. I think higher education, I think by design, is supposed to be a sort of like not fast changing. I think like we were like computer science degrees, why don't they teach you TypeScript? I was like, well, that's not the point. The point is to teach you computer science, which is different from teaching programming. And so they treat new changes like this as like, well, like the fundamentals don't change, and so we shouldn't change our like program around them. But I think that they might be overestimating the resilience of the program. Like this is actually a very, very fundamental change. This is like how you would change how you teach stuff after computers came out. Like you would stop trying to get people to get really good at arithmetic, and like it doesn't matter anymore. Because the problem actually currently isn't that the skills they're learning aren't relevant, it's that they aren't learning them.
But what if you just say, hey, homework is worth nothing, labs are worth nothing, and tests are worth everything? And
that seems like actually a really good stopgap. Like just like while we figure this out, let's make it so that you have to be in a room without a computer, and that's how you test you for stuff.
Well, we had a whole conversation about. Okay, my take is like a little different than yours. I think you say homework, projects, like everything is worth like X%, because you can still make a good project or something. I mean, I'm not a computer scientist, but like I assume like you just use AI. There's still like ways to grade people's projects, and then just say like pen and paper tests with like no computer is worth like this much, and then it's just like on everything that you could use AI, we're assuming you're using it.
I feel like that's how interview processes have evolved as well. Like I feel like a lot of interview processes, at least like at my company, for example, like we tell people they're allowed to use AI, and we like measure how they're using AI in their process.
So this is an interesting way. As you know, we don't do it. We don't let you use AI in the interview process. And this was like a very long internal debate because it felt like the Luddite thing to do. Like it's the type of thing you'd come up with if you were like a disgruntled staff engineer. It's like no AI is bad. But you should think about it actually that like, so, well, I'm curious, where do you guys stand on like the being allowed to use AI on interviews?
I think you need both, because I think you need to know that like fundamentally they know the concepts, but I also think that there's an expectation in the world today that you are using AI, and we want people that are able to use it effectively and efficiently.
I also just think like in-person interviews should make a comeback. Like if it's online, it's so hard to know, at least like in the field I'm in, if someone's using AI or not. So like even if I thought it shouldn't be used, I still feel like they're using it.
Yeah. I think a lot of the like take homes or the work trials that people do where you like build a product doesn't make sense to me, because you can one shot a lot of those now. Yeah. I don't think that's like really a great measure of like a person. I think there's a couple of things. Like whiteboarding a leak code problem, you really truly test their algorithmic skills. Like are they a smart, sharp, creative thinker? And then the second is with the system design problem, are they thinking about the full picture, and can they put together an entire diagram?
The reason to not have AI in technical interviews is because learning to get really good at AI is not that hard. And how good you are at AI can make an enormous difference in how well you do in an interview process. Mm-hmm. And the interview process, therefore, should not price in how good you are at using Claude Code. Mm-hmm. Someone who is a very good programmer without AI, once they get good at using AI, will be like phenomenal.
Yeah.
But a amazing programmer that does not use AI might do about as well on a regular interview process as a mediocre engineer who's very good at using AI. And I think that that's kind of what you want to prevent. In-person interviews, it's actually bad that we got rid of them. We do in-person for the final stage of the interview. And it actually has nothing to do with the evaluation. It's just that we found that like when it comes to getting like really, really great people to join our team, just having them hang out with us for a day probably like usually does it. Like that's like just a big part of the sell.
Yeah.
We hired our head of growth recently. He was one of the first growth people at Figma. And
also,
you know.
we know.
Oh, you know?
Yeah.
How do you know?
My ex-boyfriend was his roommate.
That's crazy.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, because we were in SF for a long time.
Yeah. No, yeah.
He had left Figma after like 4 years and moved to Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we got introduced because our designer, her like brother-in-law was the head of growth at Figma, and so he's the person that hired him. The thing I do when I'm hiring for new functions is I'll basically like I don't like basically train my brain into understanding what incredible looks like. And so I went and asked my investors. I was like, okay, who like we're gonna hire a head of growth because like we want to invest more heavily in like repeatable top of funnel. Who is the best head of growth ever? Like who's like in history of Silicon Valley who's like the best one? And then the name I kept hearing was Gustav, who's actually now a partner of YC, who is the head of growth at Airbnb. He's like, this is the best there's ever been. And so I went to talk to him, and I was like, I basically just want to learn what makes you really great at this, and then I want to hear from you what I should be looking for. And he like made this like list of things, and it was like someone who has the creativity to come up with good bets and the scientific mind to be able to validate or like invalidate them. And Ravina, who's our designer, like asked Tony about it, who's the Figma head of growth, her brother-in-law, and he was like, oh, you should hire Rahul. He's not gonna be easy to hire because he wants to like take a year off. So I talked to him, and he was like, look, like I'll talk to you, but I'm not interested. And I just kept calling him just over and over again for like weeks. I just kept calling him, and then I would just call him and just like say hi. And then I was like, you should come hang out with us. We'll fly you out. Just like spend like 2 days with us. It's all ask. Like you know, there's no expectation around it. Just come hang out. So I flew him out. He spent like Monday and Tuesday with us. And then I think he flew back the next day. And then the next time I called him, he was like, let's do it. Let's do it. And then he started working there next week. And at that point, it was like exceedingly obvious that like we just had to have people hang out with us, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's
Yeah.
a good story. Yeah, because I listened to a podcast where you're talking about how you guys all like do lunch in person together and how like a lot of good growth ideas come out of that. And it's funny because like I'm in our SF office, but our New York office has like more people in it, and they don't do lunch together. And one of my friends, Sabrina, just moved here, and she was like, wait, it's so cute, you guys like actually all like sit and eat lunch.
Yeah, we do it. So growing up, this is incidentally true for all three of us, Susan, my son, and me. I think growing up, we all had like enforced like family, like it was like culturally enforced family dinner. Like we just, like, all sit together, and we actually not only do lunch together, we do dinner together. Like most of the companies sit together and eat dinner together. First of all, it just arrives together, and it's like hot when it arrives.
Yeah.
And so like
you're all eating anyway.
Yeah, so we're all gonna eat anyway. I think so the first thing is like the quality of the conversation at the lunch table. If it's like it reaches a certain tipping point of quality, like no one will want to miss it, and so they'll just have to, because they have to be there. Like there's like interesting things happening. Like we're like figuring out what we're gonna do. A lot of it ends up being just like wild growth ideas, like crazy product ideas. Or
What's
just
your
like
craziest growth idea of it?
Are you guys familiar with like the Steve Ballmer developers speech? So I don't know if you have a Jamie pull that up type thing where you can like put it up, but on the thing. But so it's Steve Ballmer and like he is talking about Microsoft's developer first strategy around for .NET. And this video is just like it's extremely sweaty. He's extremely energetic. He's like huffing because he's like jumping around the stage, and like everyone's asking me what's the key to .NET, and he goes like it's developers. And like everyone's quiet. He's like it's developers, and he just keeps saying the word developers over and over again.
I think I
like
have
slapping
seen
his
this,
hands together really hard. It's insane. Like I watch that every morning. It's so good.
That's like your alarm.
Yeah, it's like it should be my alarm. And just every morning, what do you care about? Developers. So we made these cookie boxes where there says Greptile on the outside, and then the inside flap has like a grab from that video, like a super sweaty Steve Ballmer, and it's full of cookies. And there's a light activated speaker where when you open it, it starts playing the speech. And then we just gave it to all of our top customers.
Oh my God. What were their reactions to it?
It was great. Like people tweeted about it. And then like a lot of people like ripped out the light activated thing and put it inside their fridge because when the fridge lights turn on. And it was great. I would like talk to like a random CTO or VP of engineering or something over the next like several weeks, and I'd just be like, oh yeah, like we do like AI code review stuff, and they're like, oh wait, are you guys like the Steve Ballmer cookie company? And then we sent one to Steve Ballmer because his foundation started using us.
No way.
And so they signed up, they started using the product, and so I emailed them and I was like, hey, by the way, we're free for nonprofits. Also, I'm going to send you something because I think you'll think it's really funny. I don't know if Steve saw it, but like they like his entire team saw it.
I feel like he must have seen it. Like I feel like I've realized with viral things, when you think about like let's say something gets 100,000 views, that's not like so crazy.
Like Elon probably saw it.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Like 1 million views, 2 million views.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're like mentioning someone in it, like they always see it. I think like even at like 10,000 views, I think it just takes like one person that knows them. Yeah. And I feel like everyone's like 1 to 2 degrees separated, anyways.
Yeah. No, literally, if I've learned anything from living in San Francisco, it's that everyone knows everyone. Like you're like half a degree of connection away from like literally anyone.
Yeah, that is exactly true. And what's also interesting is I think San Francisco. So I was trying to think about this. If you're in New York and you just moved there to like try to build something and try to like have a great career, people that are at the top of their careers will not interact with you. They're like, there's like a very class stratified society.
Yeah.
And San Francisco isn't like that. And it's not because we're good people. Like that's because that's never the explanation. Like the actual reason is that the speed at which you can go from being a nothing person to being like important is like very, very, like you can do that really fast. Like it happens very suddenly. And there's just like, and that's like a thing that's intrinsic to software, having like no marginal cost of reproduction. And so you can like grow extremely fast when you're building software companies or technology companies. You can move like really fluidly up the stack. And so I think people intuitively understand this. And so they like pragmatically don't stop themselves from associating with people that are like very, very early career. You never know you never know what's going to happen next. It's like,
I also think like scrappiness is a skill here. Like it's like I was in consulting before, or like I've like did like internships in banking, and like those are the industries that people are more in New York. And it's like the recruiting funnel is like so set versus like here, it's like you could be a really important founder at like a great company, but like you still need to like go find early talent. Like people are always looking for talent. So like if you refuse to associate with people, you just like won't be. It's too competitive, I feel like, to get like a good engineer or like a good product person.
You know, when you start a company, like you have to find product market fit. Most will just die before they do that. Like the most will just die before they find product market fit. If you miraculously somehow find it, at that point you just have to be right about what to work on next, and then hire really amazing people. That's it. Like that's like the whole thing.
Like the product market fit process for you guys.
So I was talking to some founders last night, and they just raised some money, and they were like, I want hiring advice from you. I was like, my hiring advice here is that you should not hire. And there's two reasons you should not hire. The first thing is you are not a company that is appealing to someone who is good enough to work at your company. Like there's a mismatch, like the type of person you want at your company and the type of person that will work at your company. So you need to first become a good. Like you have to become, if your roles at your company are a product, their product and the product's attributes are like are the pay, the growth of the company, the culture of the company, and then the types of problems you work on. Like, and to different people, the value function is different. But like those are the characteristics of this product. And you have a sales funnel for the product, which is your recruiting organization, and then your product needs to be compelling so that you can like get really, really great people to buy it. And so that's like the first step. The thing that you kind of do to make that work is you have to have product market fit, and the product market fit is a oil drilling problem. Basically, you like to like really quickly drill a pilot hole in the ground and just like find oil. And when you're trying to find oil, you should be like as few people as possible. I think people mistake it is like, oh, I'll find product market fit faster if there's more people on my oil rig, because and like that's not true. Like you want all your oil rig to be like as small as possible, and you just like move like, I don't know that much about oil, but you can like you have to like really quickly be able to move from place to place to place and like drill a hole, and like maybe it's like, oh, this is like we're like probably off by like a few feet, which is like a few feet to the left, and like drill a hole, and then once you've found the oil, if that ever happens, which is very unlikely, but let's say you found the oil. Now you have to hire really great people to extract the oil out of the ground. Like you found this enormous opportunity and you have to like extract it now, which is like a very different, and at that point, now it like really matters that you build an extraordinary team. For the vast majority of the history of the company, it was just me and my co-founders, because you'd internalize this advice, because YC is actually really good at giving you this advice, which is don't hire people until A, you have a company that's worth working for, and second, you like have found product market fit, because it, like more people pre-PMF will just slow you down. We basically started out with this intellectual curiosity around like coding LLMs. And the specific version of it was the GPT-4 had just come out as we were graduating college. We'd moved out to San Francisco. We figured that the only thing we were well suited to make was developer tools, because the only thing where we had been the customer of the thing. And we were really animated by this idea of teaching large language models to understand very large code bases, because GPT-4 had a 4,000 token context window, and it was like $50 per million tokens. And so like being able to have a reason over large code is a very interesting problem for us. So we were early users of GPT Index, which became Llama Index, and so we were sort of familiar with like this modern concept of like transformer optimized RAG, and so we built early versions of like codebase optimized RAG. Basically, could we make RAG that's like very, very hyper optimized around code bases as a data structure, and we built versions of it. We started iterating it. We made like a chat with your code base type tool. You like plug in your GitHub and we started charging for it. It started growing really fast. We figured within a few months that no one who was like a large company would want something like this.
Why? Like why do large companies not want to buy it?
So this is not a workflow product. And the idea was that like you get onboarded onto a code base because you can do this. That only happens once per hirer's life. You onboard onto a code base. Like in practice, you just kind of don't have to do that again anymore. And second, it seemed like the the process of chat was actually incomplete. The thing you wanted to do was you wanted to build a feature, and then building the feature involved understanding the code base, figuring out what would need to change for this feature to happen, and then like executing on it. And those things are too tightly coupled for the first step to be a different product. And I think that was also starting to get obvious to us. So this is like summer of 2023 that we've started building like this code-based chat thing. By the end of the year, we're like, this is not going to work. We need to do something else. We kept it alive during the YC batch, like January to April of 2024. But we started like exploring other things. So we have taught a large language model to understand the code base. Like that has to be valuable somehow. And so we started to explore like different directions on what could work. We tried like building an SRE co-pilot. We were like, oh, maybe it can like help you figure out what's going wrong when there's an incident, like because it understands the code base and tell you where the bug's coming from. So we had like this whole list of things that we tried. None of it really stuck. Like no one wanted this stuff. And so we decided to build an API. And we were like, maybe people will build internal tools on this. There's like a lot of like semi-educated guesses that we were like, let's validate this really, really fast, which are in this general area where we know there's value. And then this summer of 2024, we're still iterating. Some people start using our API to build like a version of a code review bot. And so we start talking to them. It's like, why are you doing that? And they said, oh, we write too much code now. And so now there's like too much code to review. And so we need something that can review all the code. And honestly, like we were just like, might as well just try this. And it's around this time we also got Vanta and we got like SOC 2 compliant. And SOC 2 compliance, one of the things they needed to do is do like branch protection. So you have to open pull requests. So now we couldn't commit to main anymore. And so we had to start opening pull requests. And we were like, this sucks. Like no one's gonna review this. And so we're like, okay, like if worst case, we'll build an internal tool that only we use. And like December, we figure, okay, I think people want this. It seems like it's like growing on its own. We're not doing anything. And then we decided to just like change our website to say AI code review. And like we made like an onboarding for it and everything. And we shipped it around like Christmas this time last year. And it basically like immediately took off. Like January, it was just like it felt like we just did nothing, and every day it was used a little bit more than yesterday. And
so it was just like word of mouth that it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we had like maybe 30 or 50 teams using it by the end of January, and then it's like 1,400 teams now. And obviously the teams are much larger than they used to be too. And so it's like, and then we went from like reviewing, I think we were probably reviewing like maybe like 10,000 lines of code a month. Now it's like 1 billion. It is all organic. And I think we had like 10 ideas, and they all seemed like equally good. And we were like, just pick a random one. We could have picked the other 9, all of which would have failed, it turns out, like looking back. But like this one turns out to be just like extremely hard thing. Yeah. And we somehow figured out.
Yeah. What type of feedback did you get? Like throughout all those pivots and exploring different ideas, what would you say were like the key pieces of feedback that you like looked at?
So that's the tricky thing. You don't get feedback. No one just like, people just don't respond to you.
Yeah.
Like you say something to them and they just like, and like a customer will be like, okay, this could be interesting. And you're sending them emails like week after week after week after week. And like every week you send them follow up and they're like, they don't really care. And like, you don't even know that that's not how it's supposed to be. At the time, you're like, oh, this like sales is hard. Like this is just like part of it. The sales is just hard. And then like this year, it like a super large like a Fortune 10 company will like show up and they'll be like, we want to do a full rollout at the entire company, and there's a Slack invite and NDA in your inbox, and we want to get started tomorrow. We're going to put 4 people on our side whose entire job it is to make this work, like random Tuesday, and then that happens. You're like, I did not even know that was possible. What I thought was going to happen was that there was going to be some idea where instead of like 10 follow-ups and nothing, there'd be like 5 follow-ups and like maybe something would happen. And like we'd run it every 10 times you get a customer. Yeah. I did not even know this was like in the realm of possibility. Like that, like you were on the same day, you'd have like multiple enormous, it just keeps happening every single day. Yeah. I just not know that was possible. I think if people understood pre-PMF, what PMF looks like somehow. I think it's like the value of going to a company which has PMF, like as your first job, and just like see what that looks like. Just so like when you don't have it, you're like, I definitely don't have it. Like I, whatever that was, I don't have that. And I think that like that like is a very clarifying moment. And it's just like the fragility of time is just like we were so close to like picking the wrong thing. And anyone tells you that it's like not luck, they're lying. Like it is 100%. Like it's so much of it is luck. Like you just like there was like a bunch of ideas and they all were like, it looked equally good to us. Like there was no, like we had no discerning power between them, and we just picked one of them, and that one just like absolutely blew up. And there are no companies in the shape of the other 9, which tells me that those are probably not good startup ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, part of it though, too, from like your story, it sounds like there were people using your API. You saw them building out this use case for themselves, and you were like, why don't we try that as well? So it's not like it was completely random.
Yeah, but people were building other things too. These were like fringe companies. This is like in like Poland, there's a startup that's like, there's like 5 people, and they're like, yeah, we're building an AI code tool. And in some sense, you're like, well, why are you building internal tools? You're 5 people and like you have like barely any revenue. You should figure that part out instead of like trying to optimize your developer productivity workflow, whatever. So it's like not even customers where you want them to be guiding your
what you're doing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's on the peripheral.
So I think this is kind of the point of the search problem. It's like how you when you're like a 6, 7, 8 people, you can't move that fast. Like when you're 3, like you just can't move that fast. Like co-founders of a company like they understand that like fatigue is part of the course. Like you're supposed to be, like if you shift things around, you don't feel like nauseous from it. But like that's like not true for someone who's like joined a company. They don't want the direction to be changing every week.
Yeah.
Because that's like that's very disorienting. I would not want to work at a company which doesn't have like solid ground to be walking on. And that was part of it. We didn't have this like strong intellectual reason to not hire at the time. It was just like I wouldn't work here. Like at the state it is at today. And until I'm like this company is a place where I'm like, I now know this is an extraordinary opportunity. Like I can intellectually honestly look at this and be like, this could be an incredible career opportunity. Like until we can say that, we should just not hire people.
Well, you also like won't find someone good.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I feel like we've thought about that like with the podcast, like when we think about like bringing someone on and stuff, and it's like if you do bring someone on that's like not good, you're actually like in a worse place. I think when you're small, it's like you're better off having too much work to do than having someone that you can depend on. Like, yeah.
So I think, first of all, an early stage startup is not a small company. Just like a baby is not a small adult. Like it's like a fundamentally different thing. Like a startup is a hypothesis that says that there maybe should be a company of this shape. Conveniently, you don't have to do like design docs. Like you can just a hypothesis. You have to test the hypothesis. Like you just rigorously test the hypothesis. And it's the only thing you have to do. Like pre-PMF, it's like very, all you have to do is find PMF. If you don't have PMF, that's like your only problem. Like you have to find that. And then nothing else really matters.
Okay, so now you found PMF. Product is working. Why do you believe in it? I guess like why do you think it's going to be big?
So
also like what is it? Because I feel like we haven't like fully given
Explained.
an overview.
Yeah.
So the company's called Greptile. At Greptile, we're building AI agents that review pull requests with full context of the code base. Software teams use it because it catches bugs and it catches anti-patterns. We are used by about 1,400 companies. We review almost 1 billion lines of code a month and catch hundreds of thousands of bugs before they make it to production. The way we write software has changed a lot in the last couple of years. And then we try to predict where this goes. And it's hard to do that because we have to predict where the technology is going to go, and that's hard.
Yeah.
And so instead, we try to just see the present very clearly. And then we trust in a couple of things changing and a couple of things staying the same. For us, that is, we believe that the agents are going to get smarter. Like the models will get smarter over time. There's enormous investment in it. People are not getting better at expressing what they want year on year. Like that is a constant. Like human intelligence is constant. The skill of being able to articulate what you want is actually very hard. It's a very hard problem. And we're not getting better at it. So what's very likely going to happen is we will be involved, even with extremely intelligent models, pretty deeply with how software gets built. Like we will still be expressing intent because we won't be able to express the intent up front. We'll be probably working with these like tight inner loop agents, like something that looks like Claude Code or Cursor today. They'll just be smarter. The reason we won't be able to go fully abstract and say like one-shot Salesforce is because we don't actually know what that means. Like it's hard for us to express what that means. Like what is that? What like could Mark Benioff, given enough time, write a prompt that theoretically he could produce Salesforce? Probably not. Like it's just like there's a lot of detail, and like you probably would need to be iterative and being articulate enough to describe this in a way that's tractable is like very, very difficult. So if we're going to be producing all this code in conjunction with agents, and humans are going to be so deeply involved, two things will come out of that. One, people are going to use different tools because ergonomics matter when you're working this closely with a tool. Some people will be Claude Code people, and some people will be Cursor people, and there'll be like a new thing that doesn't even exist yet. And so there's going to be a fragmentation of the tuning. The second thing that's going to happen is because humans are involved, there will be mistakes no matter how good the agents get. So if LLMs are perfectly intelligent things, like the humans will introduce some chaos into the system. And so you have a fragmented set of tools producing imperfect code. So what do you need? You need a unified thing that makes the code good. It makes sure the code is good. It's a verification layer that's unified. It solves the two problems with AI coding, which is it is fragmented and imperfect. This thing validates and unifies. And the shape of this to us, the pull request reviewer form factor. Well, we're not dogmatic about that form factor. The reason it makes sense is because we actually did discover very, very good primitives for producing programming, and that is this world, this is the way we do things, which is Git, and we do branch development. And people can do whatever they want to produce their feature branch, but there's a consistent way in which the feature branch gets introduced to the wider team, which is through a pull request. That's how you say, okay, whatever I did underneath Git is just my own thing. Now I have like like I've now created this thing, like a standardized thing, which is a pull request. And then now we have a process around it, reviewing the pull request. Now that this like code has entered the team sphere, we have a process around it. And like this structure actually seems like the perfect thing to augment. Like the structure exists for reviewing code. We just introduce ourselves and say, hey, what we can do here is we can validate the code. So the second aspect of this is, okay, what does it mean to validate code? Because code review pre-AI is like security theater. Like it doesn't do it. Have you ever caught a bug in a pull request review? Like it's like very uncommon because we're not built for that. Like you're asking a pattern-seeking brain to like find out of pattern things in an extremely complex system. It's like our brains are not meant to do that. And so what we actually do to validate code, we do code review for maybe like stylistic things and information sharing. And then we do QA and we do testing, probably unit tests, integration tests, and so on. The really, really exciting opportunity here is that there's no expression of opinion required in code validation. Like code validation, everyone wants the same thing. People want their code to be safe, they want it to be like secure, they want it to be bug-free, and they want it to be performant. And everyone wants the same things, which means if there's no human expression required and the models are getting smarter every year, that means that actually validation can be completely autonomous. So that's sort of like the pieces that come together that say, okay, the thing we're going to do is we're going to build AI agents that validate code. Like there's this current in the world where it's getting easier to build software. We're probably going to put software in a lot more places. Like the cost of a bug is going to go up over time. In the 80s, if there was a bug in software, the worst thing that would happen is your like document editor didn't work or like Pong wasn't working in your Atari. Now a bug can happen and like ground flights for 4 days or like cut off the energy supply for the East Coast. Yeah. So that's probably going to grow because it's going to get easier to build software. And I think that all of these currents are just like pointing towards the requirement for something that can validate code and can do it autonomously, it can do it at scale. And we've seen like early versions of this demand today. And anyone who is from a pre-AI company and comes to a company would not describe this as early versions of demand. They describe it as like violent demand. But I have very strong conviction that it's going to become significantly more important than even it is today. I don't know. So we're not dogmatic about it. So how does progress happen when it's like diffused in the way that it is? Like there's no single coordinated effort on how software should be programmed. Like there was a really good standard around how we do it with Git, and then that became the very widely adopted standard for how we do it. But it is not actually enforced by some central body that you have to use Git. We meet teams that have to use like all kinds of random things, but like we've generally sort of converged at Git without any coordination per se. And since we've arrived at this without coordination, there's like a version of how things should be done that actually is perfect. Like it is given this new technology, there's a way to build code using AI that's perfect. And probably is not how we're going to build it though, because we don't suddenly transform everything about how we do everything. What we do is we incrementally improve things, and we probably arrive at some like local maximum. And the local maximum seems like it will include Git, just because Git is such a pervasive part of how we produce code today. And it seems like totally reasonable that you'd want to still have the life cycle in the way that it exists today. Like you would still want to write code, you still want to open it in a pull request, and there would be like a process of merging it into the wider code base. Like the branch development primitives seem like there's no reason AI should disrupt them. Like no obvious reason at least. Because a pull request is the first time that code goes from being an individual to a team sort of artifact. And so that seems like a logical place currently to do validation.
Yeah. Do you think you'd ever do validation on like the repository in general or like subfolders in general?
Yeah, probably. I think it's very compute intensive, and that's like part of why we haven't done it. I think the cost of it will be greater than what people will pay for it. I think the even bigger reason to not do it is because you will almost not reveal useful information. Because right now, if you were to take like any of our customers and run Greptile in every single file, it'll give you a list of like 10,000 bugs, and then you're like, okay, like
what do I do?
Like, what do I do now? Like I'm not gonna I can't fix them. Like there's like way too many of them. There's a world we start doing this when agents actually get good enough to solve like bugs on their own.
To do everything.
Yeah,
why not self-heal to some extent?
We don't generate code. That is actually an ideological decision, which is that code validation should be like completely independent of code generation. It should be like Datadog in AWS in some sense. I like to think of it as like you don't want the fox guarding the hen house. You don't want like the thing that's producing the code to be like reviewing the code. And the version of this that I think engineers understand best is you don't use like CloudWatch at scale to monitor AWS, because CloudWatch and AWS fail in correlated ways. and Datadog and AWS do not fail in correlated ways. Or I guess they, in some degree, do. The death of the universe would take them both out. But like for the most part, they're uncorrelated in their failures. That's kind of the appeal of Greptile. We don't generate code. We're completely uncorrelated in our failures. Like the harness is independent, the index is independent. We're not going to produce any of the code that's in your repo. We're just going to validate all the code that you're producing. And we'll just be like this neutral auditor.
I'm curious, like of all the lines of code you review, do you guys track how much of it is like human written versus Claude Code or AI generated?
We've tried to do this a lot. So there's one way to do it, which is basically you just see if literally a bot opened the pull request. That we can do. So yeah, like Devin has produced more code than any individual person that's ever used Greptile. And I think like out of the top 30, I think like 10 or 15 are probably bots.
Yeah. How have you seen that change over the last like year? I'm just curious, like the general trend that you've seen.
The volume of code I don't think has changed too much in the last year. Some interesting trend though, the rate at which people use custom AI config files has exploded. So one of the things Greptile does is it automatically absorbs like cursor rules and Claude MDs and stuff. And it was like very light usage early on. And now I think the last time I checked, something like 50% of all of our customers have at least one Claude MD file in their repo, which is like way higher than I thought. Which is like, to me, it's a sign of engagement. Someone in your team is like, this thing needs to be more personalized than it is right now.
Yeah.
And 50% is a lot because like we actually have a long tail of like very small startups that use us that shouldn't be making Claude MD files. So like the 50% basically means that any serious engineering team has decided that they really need to personalize their AI agents. I think that's been a really interesting trend.
I was just gonna say, like, there's so many different companies that I've seen try to like go after this. I know like we literally take the Muni every single day and I see the Code Rabbit ads like every day in the Muni, but I'm curious, like, what do you think sets Greptile apart? I know I saw with your like V3 launch, there's the introduction of learning and things like that, which I think are really interesting, but I'm curious what you think sets you guys apart from everyone else.
Yeah, there's three things. Two of them are features, and then a third one I'll get to. So the first one is, so we spent all this time being a code-based context company. We developed these ways to teach LLMs to understand large code bases, and what that's translated into today is if you have a large code base, like a serious large code base, it's like this is like way better than everything else. Like it just understands how the code base works. It can detect things that require multi-file context. Like a lot of bugs require to kind of look at how things are affected. Like what we call the blast radius of the diff. It's like better at catching bugs. It's like the feedback is more relevant and context aware. The second aspect of it is the learning. I think it's a big, huge difference. It is sort of our conviction that all software teams are idiosyncratic. And this is unusual in the sense that like sales teams are not that idiosyncratic. Most sales teams kind of operate in the same way, every company. Engineering teams, I think you mentioned this earlier too, are like every team like runs a little bit differently. They all have their own like way of doing things.
Yeah.
These things are like usually not super well documented. And the way people learn it when they join a company is they like just learn it through osmosis. They like read engineers' comments and PRs, and like maybe someone tells them something at lunch or whatever it is. And Greptile should learn the same way. So it reads every engineer's comment, it turns and it learns from that to figure out like what it should be doing. That just means it's getting more personalized very, very fast. The third one is, and it seems like to me that like we're somehow the only company that has taken on this like academic approach to like catching bugs. Like we have a stated goal of like we just want to catch every bug. Like we should never be a bug that slips through production. And actually it just doesn't look like that's what everyone else is optimizing around. Like everyone has like different things they're optimizing around. And like a lot of them are optimizing around like getting PRs to merge faster. And we're like very clear that that's what we're optimizing. Like the thing that creates value is we catch as many bugs as possible. And so like a large part of the team is effectively like a research lab figuring out how to catch like one more bug in a pull request. And I think that just like that focus is translated into and you know if you run you can look at independent benchmarks and you'll just find repeatedly that if you were to like you know put like 30 race conditions in a code base, like Greptile will catch all of them and like nothing else will catch them. I take that specific example because that requires like reasoning around like multi-file context and etc.
But I'm curious, like how do you track bugs caught if you don't know the total number of bugs that exist?
That is a really, really good question. So we can't know what percentage of bugs we're catching. What we do is to evaluate is we basically we maintain this like very, very elaborate data set of bugs. And the way we find bugs that are sort of worth catching is we find pull requests that have the word patch or fix in their name. And then we find the original pull request that caused the thing that is now being patched. And that's our data set. And we just try to catch as much of that as possible.
So you literally look at people just saying fix blah.
Yeah. We look at commits which are fixing things, and we find the commit that broke the thing that's being fixed.
Yeah.
And then we just repeatedly try to find what's wrong with it.
Interesting.
And I'm curious, like, you've never worked in a large code base before. So how do you build for that?
Yeah, we talked about this a lot last night. I have discovered from first principles why PMs are so important in the last few weeks.
I love to hear that.
Yeah. When we were starting out and like when we just had sort of got like early signs of product market fit, the function that determines what you should prioritize can actually be very, very simple. You have probably one big customer, if not maybe like two. If they ask for a thing, just build it. Like that's the function. Like you're not a big company. A lot of people look and say, oh, they're developers, they're building a developer tool, they must have like this intrinsic understanding. And like for the longest time we didn't, because we're not actually building for developers, we're building for teams of developers, and we're not a team of developers, we're like two people. And so like we were not our own customer. You used our own products, but like we were not, like we didn't have the problem that it solved. Like the reason large companies come to us is because they have too many PRs open and too many things are slipping into production. Like there's too much, like there's a slot problem, and that's why they come to us. We didn't have either of those problems. Like we weren't putting too many bugs in production, and we didn't have a backlog of PRs or anything. And so like we just kind of did what our large customers asked for. As time goes on, a couple of things change. When you have too many customers, they're all asking for different things. And second, we had our board meeting with Eric a few weeks ago, and we're just kind of like talking about like operational struggles. And I was like listing off. I was like, yeah, we're like really bottlenecked on code review, and somehow I didn't see the irony in that. And he burst out laughing, and he thought it was like the funniest thing. But it was like, okay, so now you can finally trust your instinct on this product, because like now you have the problems that your customers have, and like that was like such a mind shift. So now you have this like multivariate prioritization function, which is like what large customers are asking for, what the sort of the long tail of customers are asking for. Things that you just think should exist because we've earned the right to like have confidence around what should exist, because I was talking to like a senior director of one of the large value companies. We had this like whole meeting where we were talking to their engineering team around like how they should be doing AI code review. And then they're like, oh, so it's interesting. Like, is this your like first job out of college? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, and then now you're like the world expert on code review. And I was like, that is weird. You're right. Yeah. Like you have 20 years of experience, like running engineering teams at like some of the best companies in Silicon Valley. Like he used to be at Google for many, many years. He's a director there. But then like the thing is like there is this new way of doing code. We spent all of our time thinking about it. Like we literally like wake up every morning and we think about like how do you do code review better? How do you use AI to catch bugs more effectively? It's all we think about. And it's like the only problem that we've thought about it for a couple of years now, I think. So you earn the right to have like you earn the right to have a vision, basically, I guess in some sense. And then now there's like this multivariate function to figure out like use that to predict where you should build next. But I think early on it's a very simple function.
I mean, your early customers like have to get white glove service. Like I feel like that is the case across the board. And then as you grow over time, now it sounds like you guys have a bunch of customers, and it's like you have to take in all of those inputs, but then you have your own framework around like what you can and can't prioritize. Also, I feel like companies go through ebbs and flows of like what they're choosing to prioritize in that quarter or in that week, even like whatever it might be. And so there's other things to compare it against.
Yeah. The problem gets like significantly more complicated. The thing I'm always trying to impress upon people at my company is we're in the business of customer support. It just like happens to be that we use software to scale it. In theory, it was like if the best thing to do, it was probably that we just started working there and started reviewing all their PRs. Like if I really wanted to like impact one of these companies in a huge way, I would like get a job there. And then I would just be like, I'm going to just only review PRs here. Like that's going to be my job. And so I'm just going to review all the PRs here. And like that actually probably would be like a good product, except it just doesn't scale at all. And so then we just do a version of that scales. And then the way we happen to do that is through software.
I'm curious, like you have an approach of understanding the context of the large code base that like not many people follow. Why doesn't like, I don't know, Cursor or Claude do that for code generation too?
So they do, but they have a constraint that we don't have. So think about how many times you invoke the Claude agent or Cursor agent in a day. Probably like dozens of times.
Yeah.
You only open like 2 pull requests a week. And so one, we can have a way more involved indexing process because we don't need to index on every save in the way that Cursor or Claude do. And we can index on every commit, and obviously commits happen like way less frequently than saves do. And second, you only need to invoke the agent on sort of the like every time you open a pull request. And so on both sides, how we index the code base and then how we do retrieval in the code base, we have way more time and way more compute available to be able to do like much more sophisticated things than they do. So they have just like a way harder engineering challenge.
That makes sense.
Should we do hot takes?
So I wanted to ask because I feel like even before I heard about Greptile, I saw this quote that you get. What was it, the SF standard?
Yeah, it might have been the standard.
Yeah. And you said, okay, this is about SF, but you said the current vibe, 996, lifting heavy, not drinking, not doing any drugs, running, eating steak and eggs, marrying early. So I wanted to get your take on how many things are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out of 7, like how many of them do you like feel personally in your life you want to do?
Okay.
And then how many of them are just like your assessment of the city?
Interesting. Okay.
I can show them to you if you don't remember
Yeah,
your
I
whole
don't remember all
list.
of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go through each of those one by one.
Is this quote like are you like famous for this? Like do people
Yeah.
ask you about it?
Yeah, it comes up a lot.
Do you have any other quotes you're famous for? that
Yeah,
you-
but I don't want to get into it. All right. The current vibe was like 996. Like, so 996. So I think obviously like 996 originates in like Chinese factories, and like maybe
really?
maybe I'm wrong, but like I don't know if they're doing it for like the love of the game. Like it might be that they're like
No, it's like actually the work hours in China. Like we have 9 to 5. They actually have.
I thought
9 to 5.
Mercor came up with it.
No, what?
You thought
No.
Mercor came up with this?
Yeah, this whole time that's what I
No,
thought.
it was like Chinese factories. It was not Mercor. It's hilarious. So the nuance here would be like I don't want to be told to do 996 or tell people to do 996. But
you're doing it.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well,
I mean,
I probably do more than 996.
Well,
but I think
but
but it's like, you know, it's like it's like the most fun thing I do. So it's like that's why I like doing it, and it's like important to me to be really good at it. And for whoever else that's true, that they all do it together. Lifting heavy. I don't know what heavy. Is, like,
You're like, I lift, maybe
yeah,
not
lift.
heavy.
It's not like particularly heavy. But when this thing came out, a bunch of people started like posting photos of me and being like, "No way, this guy lifts heavy." I thought that was so mean.
That's so mean.
that is so
Wait,
mean.
if it makes you feel better, I feel like people on Twitter are just mean because like what my one viral post, I literally didn't even think it was gonna go viral. They were just like calling this random like girl ugly, and I was like, oh, like that's
No, you've definitely seen it. It was the meme where it was like New York.
It was like
girlfriend versus SF
Okay,
girlfriend.
yeah.
Do you know which one I'm talking
I think
about?
I know.
And I was
Okay,
like,
yeah,
you
so
guys are just like weird for this because they
Yeah.
just like take pictures of like girls in SF that are like not like public figures, like they're like
Yeah.
founders or something, and they're
Yeah.
like, she's ugly, and I was like, that's like weird. And then like they all started responding with my profile picture and were like, if you weren't wearing makeup in this, you'd be fugly too. And I was like, you're making my point for me. Like you're not. This isn't like helping your side of the case.
Yeah, they were really mean to you.
Yeah, they were really mean to me. And then they were like so racist. And I was like, I always knew people were racist to Indians on the internet, but I never like,
It's way more now.
yeah.
It's somehow become like a bad time to be a woman or Indian, and
Oh, yeah,
I don't
like,
think
I
it's
guess
either
we're
of those. But when I listen to your podcast, I turn on. It was probably the Rare Earth Metals episode, or might have been a different one. But I put it on, and like literally like 30 seconds in, I was like, this is like breaking my brain. This is like the all in part, but like younger. And it's like the same. Because I think I didn't know what I was expecting, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like.
What were you
It was-
expecting?
I wasn't expecting like tech bros. I don't know. Like it was like you're saying things that tech bro would say. You know, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like
I get it.
the hallmark of a tech bro is they say China like it's like their friend instead of like the country of China. Like they, you know, yeah, like China's doing this. And it's like, who's China? You know? That's what tech bros do.
We do talk like that.
It's great. I thought it was really fun. Not drinking. Yeah, I don't drink. I stopped drinking a long time ago. Not doing any drugs. Yeah, I guess that's all par for the course. Running. Like sometimes I play tennis, if that counts. Eat steak and eggs. I also stopped eating steak, but I do eat eggs.
But I love eating steak and eggs. Like there's this viral. Do you ever see the viral TikTok meal that's like egg, steak, avocado, and is there some like and like hot sauce? So good.
That is good. That is good. It's like a rural California meal.
Yeah. And you can just put it on a cutting board. Like you make your steak, you put the steak on a cutting board, and then you just eat off of it.
I've seen you make it before.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is an extremely male-coded meal. Cool stuff.
Comes to the podcast is that you guys are just 3 tech
Yeah,
bros.
somehow I'm like the least tech bro person here. It's alarming, actually.
It's like
marrying
more
early,
alarming
yeah.
for us that you just said that. Then. Okay, so wait, what was that? It
Marrying
was
early was the last one. Yeah, I mean,
was-
like,
it
more,
was
I guess more my girlfriend, whether she wants to or not. I want to. I think it's like I think it's, part of being a founder is just like, it's like exercising your conviction, I guess. And like, that's probably like marrying early
your
is
high
exercising
conviction. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other hot takes you want to share?
No, I think I should stop doing that.
No, I think it's great.
Wait, what's your like most controversial or viral thing that you've said on X?
I think this one probably was the most viral. But then I think it was like November 2024. I said something along the lines of like, it's like I tell people up front that there's like no work-life balance, basically. Well, one, there's a lot of backlash from like people in India because it was like mostly from people in India, in fact. Because I think in India, if you like the way you would interpret someone telling you there's no work-life balance is that like it's like exploitation, basically. Whereas here, like when I say, you know, there's no work-life balance, which is actually not even really accurate. But you know, like I say, there's no work-life balance. The target audience here is like the Google engineer who's been there for like 5 or 6 years and is like, I don't get to do anything, and I want to like do something that I could, like I want to do. I would do more stuff. Like that's what I want out of my next things. I want to go deeper into something and like with people that care a lot. Like I don't think my coworkers really care that much. Like if our thing works or not, because just like it feels so insignificant.
Yeah.
And I just want to be around people that really care, and I want to like go really deep into something. But that's like not how you interpret it if you're not in Silicon Valley. Like, you know, just like this is not for like exploiting low paid people. Like so people that made like 500K in the last jobs, and like they're gonna make like 600K now, and they're gonna work way harder. You know, and then like they're gonna get like equity in a thing that there's like that they believe is gonna blow up.
Yeah.
You know, so it's I think that's like not the interpretation, because obviously there's all this context around it. Like if you were to like read that and then you could go to our website and then see, okay, like we have like 90th percentile pay and like 99th percentile equity for our stage, like then like this might make sense. And then there's like signal around the company that tells you that it might do really well. The only really good criticism that I saw of that tweet, I forget who it was, but it was an account that was just like, this is just posturing, and it's like there's like it's like the meme of the tech founder that like won't shut up about how hard they work, basically. And I was like, that's a good criticism. That is good.
Well, I feel like the reason why all the tech companies in the Bay just like spend all their time talking about, not all their time, but like they make such a big deal out of 996 is just to like filter inbound candidates. Like it's just like an anti-sell.
Yes, it is to filter inbound candidates. It's just set expectations around things. Look, it's like I think there's a type of person. So the common criticism of this is, hey, if like you don't have to say it, like people, if you do something that people really care about, it will the people will just work a lot because they'll want to. And then my counterpoint to that, while that is true, my counterpoint to that is I don't want to like hide this from people, because a lot of people just like don't want to do that. Like it's like there's like nothing in the world that could get me to care enough about software for me to like work this hard on it. Like that's a totally rational way of living, obviously. Like you don't like, you know, like obviously it's like totally rational not care that much.
You're like, normal.
It's probably
We're not.
it's probably irrational to be us.
It's like a scale, right? Yeah. Like it's like the amount that the founder of a startup cares about a company is like, we can pretend like everyone at the company cares equally. It's obviously higher than like employee number like 17 that's a software engineer that still might care a lot, right? And so I feel like it's not realistic to be like there's a reason founders work longer hours on average, and like there's also a reasonable expectation. Like it's a job at the end of the day, and if like someone's applying to a job or getting a job, it's like reasonable expectation, like this is what you're getting into, you know? And it's like you could just like not say that, and then people do it out of like the love of the game. But like I feel like you can have a love of the game and like also have like other things you want to do in your life, and it's just like better with a job to be transparent, because you don't want a situation where someone joins and then it's like,
yeah, it's just like a ton of people. There's like some number of people that are like, okay, the thing I want to do in my 20s and my 30s is I want to be a part of a small team that's growing extremely fast, and I want to own like a meaningful chunk of equity in it, and I want to like be really, really invested. And then at the end of it, I have conviction to think this. So like one part of it is you should work here if you think this is going to get really big. Like if you think the equity is mispriced, basically.
yeah.
Like I think that's like one. So I often help like my sister who's like deciding what she wants to do for work, and like I was telling her, like, just index on company growth. Like almost nothing else matters. Like just pick something that's growing really fast. If it's not growing fast, it doesn't matter if the culture is good. It will suck. Like it will start sucking if it's not growing pretty fast. Like it will. Like it's just, it's going to be depressing, and it's just, if it's not growing, it's not going to be fun. Pick something that's growing really, really fast. And like you'll find that like companies that are growing really fast actually correlate pretty highly with companies that are good places to work at, because otherwise they'll just atrophy themselves by like being a bad culture, and like any good people will just leave. And so you'll find that companies that are growing really fast tend to have good culture. And also it's just like, I don't know, they're like, you know, there's like the correlation of like financial struggle and divorce is like very high, and it's because there's like fewer things to fight about if things are just going well.
Yeah.
It's like there's just less conflict with companies. Like what do you like?
Yeah,
you walk
yeah.
you
No,
walk into the
it's
office every day,
definitely
and like there's a graph that
true.
just keeps going up. and like an exciting thing is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are we gonna fight about? Like it's just like things are working. Like it's great. Like we're like struggling to keep up with it. Like that's what the actual problem is.
Yeah, it's like positive versus negative stress. Like I feel
Yeah.
like there's like positive stress of like there's too many things to do, like how am I physically gonna do it? And I think that's actually like very motivating to people.
Yeah.
And then there's like negative stress of like things are like
despair,
fucked.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I feel like companies naturally also start like pointing fingers, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
doing this, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
And then it's like kind of just like a downward spiral, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can people find you, and like what are you guys hiring for, if anything, right now?
Greptile.com, that's our website. We're also now at Greptile at Twitter. Shout out to their new handles feature. Well, we're hiring broadly across all functions, particularly engineers and research engineers across
Nice.
all kinds. We have a very generalist view on engineering.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you
on.
so much for
Thanks.
coming
Thanks for having me.
on. What are you doing
That's-
for the rest of the weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, what am I doing? I'm gonna lift heavy. I'll probably run, make an egg. I don't know.
No steak. No steak. Get married.
Get married. That's tomorrow. Get married. No, church is closed on Sundays.